Hi guys, I just finished Someone Perfect by Mary Ballog. It was a very interesting story for sure. It continues the Westcott series theme of family interactions. I enjoyed the story, though it wasn't as good as some of the others in the series in my opinion. I will be sharing a few thoughts on the spoilers section right ahead. First, as a tiny recap, the story follows Estelle and Justin. Estelle is Viola Kingsley's stepdaughter. Viola is the widow of the former head of the Westcott family, who had found out that her marriage was bigamous, and as such, her kids were illegitimate. And that's how this story connects back to the Westcott series. Last time we saw Estelle in the series and her twin brother, they were young kids. Now they're past their 20s. The love story in itself wasn't the most compelling one in my opinion. The book had more of the rhythm and pace that the first one in one of her series would have. The story itself deals with a reconciliation. And in this story, which I don't think I have found elsewhere, there were several central characters, not just the two main ones. There's Justin and Estelle, but also Justin's sister, Maria. And all have semi-independent arcs that coalesce at the end. Justin had been pretty much exiled by his father after he caught him in his second wife's room kissing her and with his hands all over her, something she had staged in order to save face. Justin did not try to defend himself and simply left, hitting his father and breaking his young stepsister's heart, who was lied to by her mother, the one that was caught with Justin, which ultimately led to her hatred for him. After Justin's father dies, Justin becomes the new Earl of Brandon, and as such, he's now in charge of his sister, who had spent years with her mother as she was convalescing and eventually passed away. When Justin attempts to bring his sister home, the relationship is beyond strained, and as a way to do his duty and reconnect her with the world and her family, he invites both branches of their families to spend some time at his beautiful property. And that is the crux of the story. Several concepts are nicely explored in the story, especially reconciliation and the effort it takes. Forgiveness is something that requires our active participation. For instance, Maria embodied one aspect of reconciliation and integration. She represented the path towards discovery with her incessant quest for the truth of the matter. But she also did it openly, and that's a crucial aspect of it. Sometimes we get caught up in our grudges, so much so that not even the truth will make us yield. I think that's something that we all ought to be aware of. How much have our grudges become part of our identity? How much do we use them to remain inconsiderate and mean, or self-righteous? The path towards reconciliation, be it with someone else's actions or with ourselves and our past mistakes or short-sighted choices, begins with an inquiry of the facts, and beyond the facts, the motives. But it is not complete until we're able to accept them and move on. Because a lot of the times we will not set ourselves or others free from our anger, hate, or resentment. That's because we are getting something from it. So long as we're able to hold someone in contempt and refuse to accept the truth, we get to remain selfish. So, letting go of that power requires the humility to admit being wrong or right. Maria transformed herself from someone who had nothing in life, cold and quiet, into a living person who belonged to her past, but wasn't controlled by it. Someone who belonged with her family and who had now accepted the love that she had refused because of holding on to the grudge, because she couldn't conciliate it. And that was a beautiful transformation. Justin goes through a similar process. He always resented his father for choosing such a sociopath for a wife and sacrificing him over her. But it wasn't until he found his father's last letter that he understood the rationale for his father's choice. This allowed him to forgive him, and it opened up the gates of his true self to shine, which is what Estelle saw and what drew her to him. We cannot be ourselves if we are ruled by grudges. We cannot shine. We have no light if there are walls preventing us from being who we choose to be. Now, on both cases for Maria and Justin, the answer wasn't a forgiveness that justified the acts. It rather came from understanding and accepting, rather than from justifying. I think there is something to be said about growth, particularly when one thinks of the idea of forgiving but not forgetting. And I think it means exactly that. It means acceptance, without going fully to the other side and agreeing with the way things happened. Neither Maria nor Justin would have behaved in the same way their parents did, and as such, they will forever disagree with them. But that did not mean that they would allow the hurt or the fact of disagreement to rule their lives any longer. There has been a lot of ideas in Mary's novels about letting go of hurt and guilt, but not so much about forgiveness and resentment. So this was an interesting story to read in that sense. Lastly, they said something at some point that caught my eye, and I think it was beautiful, so I will mention it here. They said something like, "The people that are central to our lives are with us all the time, through connection and worry and wondering, and through their teaching and influence. If we're connected to a family or network, their mere presence on the other side of the world is enough to change the way we make choices, I think. I believe that is one of the biggest reasons why being isolated from human contact is so detrimental to one's overall health. Not just physical and mental, but also our choices are made differently if we don't know that there's someone out there who cares about our well-being." It was a really interesting idea. Thank you for watching this video. I believe this concludes the Westcott series thus far. I would be picking up a different series from her, as I really like her work, and I will be posting those videos here once I get through the novels. Once again, thank you for watching. If you liked it, please make sure to click like. If you enjoyed it, please share it with your friends, and I will be seeing you guys next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.